And a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. Today happens to be, 24th day of April, 2019. I'm George Grant. Welcome to today's edition of Good Day Grenada. Oh boy, are we about to have some fun for the next hour. And we're glad that you're able to join us. I expect to see you guys popping up on Facebook momentarily. Just you look out. T.F. Richards. Good day, family. Huh? You know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the rundown, see what sort of mischief we're going to be getting into here today. I have a couple of excerpts from Sunday's program. Remember Sunday's program? Yeah. We had Claudette Joseph in here, and she was talking about the oil and gas situation. Now, before I go any further, let me say that we were supposed to have with us a gentleman by the name of Dr. Patrick Antoine. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it, notified me at the last minute. However, Sunday morning, Patrick's going to be sitting right here, ready to vent. And I understand he's going to be bringing a couple of other people with him, whether electronically or physically. We'll have to wait and see, okay? But I decided to pull a couple of short clips from the piece we did with Claudette Joseph, because there are some very important, there is a very important question that needs to be answered, and that's the first thing on our agenda this morning. Why hasn't legal action been taken against the authorities here in Grenada? You know, a lot of talk, and this is not something that started last week or the week before last month. This is something that's been building up for years. Grenadians are really peeved about a lot of stuff they see happening in this country. And these guys seem to be just getting away with everything. And I couldn't help but ask, why? Why hasn't something been done? Well, that question's, excuse me, going to be answered for you this morning, okay? And yes, today, we do have the national report from last night, and we also have, guess who? She is back from Florida. Green this morning, pilgrims. Green. Sherron's with us. Yeah, well, some green in there. Just, you're going to have to wait just a wee bit. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks. Now, 3 minutes after the hour. While there continues to be so much public outcry about so many issues in this country, there appears to be little or no action being taken, leading to a sense of absolute frustration and anger. It is true that we don't have much of a court system left, but the question has to be asked, why hasn't legal action been taken against the perpetrators of this national unrest? I posed that question to Claudette Joseph, who is an attorney at law, on Sunday morning. This was her response. Claudette, the people of this country know we have a problem, big problem. Mm-hmm. They're concerned. But Claudette, most of us, the majority of us aren't lawyers. We don't know how to go about it.
Let me tell you
and
this.
We don't have the money. Claudette, enough talk. Action has to be taken. People are calling for action. Action has to be taken.
May I explain?
Please.
Let me explain. To bring action in a civil court. Now, first of all, the action that can possibly be taken right now is criminal action. Right?
Serious stuff.
Criminal action. But the people against whom the criminal action can be taken, they are in office. It won't happen. It won't happen. What, are they going to prosecute themselves? Are they going to prosecute themselves? If the DPP, for example, has to take criminal action, he would need the cooperation of the same executive, the same Ministry of Energy, headed by who, the person he investigating. Let's get real, people. Right? In terms of civil action, So the point I'm making is, you want action, you got to move these people from in office. That's what you have to do. That's what has to happen. Civil action, you must have standing. To bring a civil action, you must have standing to do so. I am not aware, perhaps other colleagues of mine may be, but I am not aware of any civil avenue that the citizen can take at this time to pursue this matter in court. I am not aware of any.
So the ball is in our court.
The ball is in our court. Consider the consequences when you go into that little box.
All right. All right. So that's Claudette Joseph in the first space. Now, sounding very much like you would expect to hear from any political party, she did promise that when her party assumes office, action will be taken. Here goes. Somebody's asking, if your government wins the next election, could your government take these guys to court because of the recklessness and mismanagement of the oil and gas exploration?
Of course we can.
Now, that's one question. If you form the next government, what action can you take?
We can take criminal action if, having investigated all the matters relevant to this deal, we find that any of our government officials or ministers and so engaged in a fraudulent breach of trust. That's a criminal act under our criminal code. We can do that. Breach of public trust. We can do that. We can take action.
All right, Claudette.
But you can't be on the outside.
All right, Claudette.
And investigate the people who need investigating.
Claudette, a few years ago, I'm sure you were around. Did you ever hear about something called a briefcase? You ever hear about something called the briefcase affair?
Oh, yes.
Why wasn't action taken?
The people of Grenada did not. I am satisfied now, having done all the digging, the people of Grenada did not give the National Democratic Congress sufficient time. That's why I am satisfied that work was being done. Now, our Prime Minister misbehaves in public office. All right? A new government wants to take action based on that misbehavior. Investigation, these things take time. You must gather all the evidence. Any police prosecutor will tell you this. Any defense or prosecuting lawyer will tell you this. You don't charge people unless you have sufficient evidence. So, and courts do not decide matters on hearsay or public opinion. So you must do thorough investigation, especially when you're going after public officials. So thorough investigation must be done. You must gather all the evidence. And when you're talking about crimes of this nature, you're chasing monies across borders. So it is my belief that, especially based on what I have uncovered with this matter, it is my belief that the government was engaged in an investigation. But it does not happen overnight, especially when you're dealing with people who will cover their tracks. So you have to engage in due diligence, tracing, all of that. So the people didn't give them enough time to do what they needed to do.
Okay, fair enough. Claudette, let me be straight up with you. You know, I keep getting in the doghouse because I speak my conscience, I speak my heart, regardless of the consequences. Right. Claudette, you guys were held accountable by the people in the past. And, you know, I think they'll do it again. You have made a promise here this morning that if you guys were to form government, action would be taken.
Action will have to be taken.
Criminal action.
Action will have to be taken.
All you hear?
Right? But the people, listen, I said earlier, for example, between the discussions with the principals of GPG, and actually getting this opinion, right, from the independent experts. When they had it in hand, it was 2012 already. Months later, they were out of office. Action will have to be taken. We
Criminal
got to thank
action.
Peter David for that. But, but I mean, seriously, months after, they were out of office.
Anthony says the people did not. They preferred to go back to the same old, same old.
Well, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Grenada, hold them accountable. Hold them.
Look at. Sorry.
Hold on. But Grenada, you too will be held accountable because the ball is in your hands. You can't just spend the rest of your life writing on social media, phoning radio station, calling TV station, yada, 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 yada. And when you have a chance to do something, you ain't do it? Please, cut the nonsense. Get cracking. All right, there she goes. Claudette Joseph. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Try and join us on Sunday. We're actually going to try and get her back in here on Sunday morning as well. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on here, but we could very well have a full house, and if we do, we'll let the program run from 10 to 12. Usually for something like that, I do an hour and a half, but I think this matter is important enough, and there's enough interest out there, so that's what we're going to do. We're probably going to run it a couple of hours. Let me say good morning now to the pilgrims out there on Facebook. John is saying hi good morning to the world from an overcast number 1, constituency number 1, Kayaku. And, well, Petty Martinique, constituency 1.5. I'm only joking. Benedict Cador is saying good morning. T.F. Richards, yes, family. Margaret Francis hopes everything's good with everyone. Nice spring day in New York. Margaret, listen, girl, it's overcast. It's not raining, but very overcast down here this morning. Very overcast. Peter Bishop saying good morning from Long Island. Joycey Smith is saying good morning, Mr. Grant. Joycey, George, hey, you guys make me feel old. Mr. Grant. Just say George. And yeah, Joycey is in London. Nice to have you. And John is asking Claudette, why not employ an outside lawyer? Well, I don't know. Don't you have to have a license to practice law here in Grenada? And everywhere, as far as I know. So that probably takes care of that. Fitzroy Adams is saying howdy from New York. And T.F. Richards says, but George, time and time again, we hear people. We hear persons speaking about the ill wills of others. Look at the lead up to the past election during the briefcase issue. Look at all the hype of legal action. This came to pass. And what was done? Nothing. All these political parties are the same. 6 and half a dozen. I haven't quite heard it put that way, TF. I've heard 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Boils down to the same thing anyway. And he goes on to say the amount of hype there was. Why did it have to take so much time based on the so-called evidence they had? It's the same as the hype of oil and gas exploration last election. 6 and half a dozen. Yeah. Okay, TF. Linky, good morning, sir. How are you? You're feeling lonely, right? Sherron gone. She's back with me. She's Mike here now. Good to see you, Linky. He's sending God's richest blessings to everyone and much love, as always. And thank you for your advice, Peter. Peter says, we should have 3 hours for a program of that importance. Okay, Pedro. 3 hours, says Peter. Okay. Pilgrims, let me take a little break here now and because we do have a national report this morning, we'll bring that to you in just a wee bit.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Boy, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up.
I'm coming. Karim, what you doing?
Fly my kite.
Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy.
Why not? The wind good.
Because mommy say, kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, it can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, let's go and fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kite threads conduct electricity. Do not fly kites near overhead power lines. This can lead to electric shocks and power outages. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, do not try to retrieve it. Release it and call GRENADA. Always fly kites in open areas. Keep your kites far away from roads. And remember, always clean up after yourself.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, just before we fire up the national report, Lydia James is with us this morning, and Kipling is sending God's blessings as well. Kipling, boy, I certainly hope both you and Lincoln are feeling a little bit better. My prayers are with both of you. I just sat here praying for both of you guys. I know you're facing some challenges. These too shall pass. I've had my fair share. These too shall pass. Ashton Fletcher says, good morning from Louisville, Kentucky. Grenadians, like most of the rest of the so-called democracies around the world, have become so partisan that we do not look beyond our political affiliation and do what is in the best interest of every Grenadian. Politics as usual. Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head, Ashton. Pilgrims, here it comes.
Ministry of Education establishes program of intervention to address violence in schools. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, April 23rd, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Ministry of Education has established a program of intervention to be operated through a special support committee to address the subject of violence in some schools. That's according to Education and Human Resource Development Minister Honorable Emmeline Pear. Minister Pear says that the committee will work hand in hand with counselors and advisors at the various institutions. However, not every school is earmarked for this intervention strategy. During a recent post-cabinet briefing, Minister Pear said, violence in schools, though not prevalent, is still a cause for concern and must be addressed.
violence in school, even if it happens once, is too many. And we do have some schools that we have flagged and will be providing special support to in that regard. There is a special committee set up to look at a special program of intervention that would engage not just the school, students, parents, the community, and we intend to make sure that this is something that we bring under control with regards to added initiatives that we're going to presently, the counselors and all of the programs existing, we appreciate that this is working, but we do have some challenges and we need to do more.
Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell has paid tribute to the late Sir Alistair McIntyre, describing him as the epitome of a Caribbean man who was a genuine advocate of national and regional development that sought to improve the stature of the Caribbean. Sir Alistair, Vice-Chancellor Emeritus of the University of the West Indies, passed away on Saturday. Paying tribute to Sir Alistair, Dr. Mitchell said the entire Caribbean has lost a dear son who has left us a rich legacy characterized by profound knowledge and unwavering commitment to regionalism. Sir Alistair was third in the line of distinguished Caribbean nationals who served as Secretary General of the Caribbean Community from 1974 to 1977, and his leadership of the organization came at a critical juncture just 1 year after the Treaty of Chaguaramas was signed. Dr. Mitchell said Sir Alistair can therefore be considered one of the pioneers who shaped the infrastructure on which we have built our efforts at regional integration. Sir Alistair also served as Chief Technical Officer of the Caribbean Regional Negotiating Machinery and played a crucial role in trade negotiations at the international level. The Prime Minister says the region owes a debt of gratitude to Sir Alistair, and bestowing him with the Order of the Caribbean Community demonstrated this gratitude. The Caribbean has also been paying tribute to the 87-year-old son of the soil, saying that, and I quote, "a precious light has gone out in our Caribbean world," unquote. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The eyes of the world are on us more than ever. So let's take it to them. Saturday, May 4th, the Spice Mass Corporation launches Spice Mass 2019. The Caribbean's biggest summer festival. This year's launch starts with a roadshow from Ariza Car Park to the National Stadium from 3 p.m. Bring out your last year's costume and join the parade. It's one big experience with a display of fancy mask, traditional mask, Moko Jumbi, and the most envied Jab Jab. The official opening is at the National Stadium, featuring your favorite soca artists and DJs, Calypso Monarch, Steel Pan champions, and presentations of the 2019 Carnival Queen contestants, plus displays of 2019 costumes, SMC show tickets, and other attractions to be won. Saturday, May 4th, the National Stadium, the launch of Spice Mass 2019. Bring out the entire family. Log on to spicemassgrenada.com for more.
Welcome back. 25 young seamen from Grenada and Carriacou will spend just over 1 week at the Caribbean Fisheries Training and Development Institute in Trinidad, increasing their knowledge on basic safety at sea. The certified training is being done through the Ministry of Youth, Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts in an effort to familiarize young and aspiring seamen with basic marine safety training. During the orientation session on Sunday evening, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Norman Gilbert, highlighted that many seamen are experienced but not certified. He challenged them to embrace the life-changing opportunity and be ambassadors to Grenada.
Many of you would move on. You would go to captain vessels all over the islands, right? Maybe you might also have a vessel working Grenada, Trinidad, I don't know, that you may have opportunities to work on. But this is a lifetime opportunity for people who are interested in seamanship. And I would like for you to take this with both hands and be able to complete. I wouldn't go back to repeat what Mr. Bihari said in terms of the requirements, but I want to just reiterate the fact that you are not representing yourself. Currently, you are traveling on behalf of the government of Grenada as a selected group of persons to complete this training. This is a government-sponsored training, and as a result, we expect for you to be nothing but ambassadors.
Acting Youth Coordinator Royden Bihari says government has invested heavily in the training, covering tuition, accommodation, stipend allowance, and airfare. He emphasized the need for participants to be disciplined and adhere to the requirements of the training.
the cost of tuition alone is very high per person. Hence the reason we are asking persons to be as serious as you can be. As I would say to our liaison officer, whether our participants are on the first day, whether they are on the second day, whether they are on a few hours before the departure, whether they are 1 hour before the course finish, and you cannot adhere to the policies, you would be on the first flight back to Grenada. And we hold no apologies, because this is a very important investment for us. To the point where the budgetary allocation for this initiative was budgetary allocation allocated towards other programs of the ministry. We had a request by minister, and we tried our best to facilitate it, to ensure that all 26 persons get an opportunity to go.
The standards of training, certification and watchkeeping will run from Tuesday, April 23rd to May 3rd, 2019. Finally, the non-profit organization, the Caribbean Coding Academy, has established a local branch on the Carenage, St. George, as part of efforts to prepare young people for the digital economy. Director of the organization, Clifford Brown, says it is important that young people familiarize themselves with coding, robotics and drone technology, as these serve a vital part in the economy.
The objective here is to literally have an impact in Grenada with regards to technology. We believe that the world is changing, and our kids must be introduced to technology at a very early age. We see this program as very, very important. We see this program as just as important as various sectors, be it tourism, be it agriculture. And you don't need to go anywhere. You can stay right in Grenada here. So once you have internet and you have a laptop, you can literally be working. This is a game changer, and this is literally preparing our young people for the new digital economy.
The organization plans to partner with various institutions in Grenada. Adults will also get the opportunity to gain hands-on experience through the services offered by the Coding Academy. That promise from Operations Director Gillian Stevens.
Not only are we working with the children, there are many adults who would like to learn to code as well. We have an adult program starting on the 29th of April. We will have a bootcamp program as well for those who want a total change in career, a 6-month immersion program. Training people actually for jobs that are waiting out there for them. It's interesting that there are a lot of jobs out there, but there aren't enough people trained to do those jobs. So what we are here to do is actually train people for these jobs, train them such that some of them may want to leave Grenada, but essentially some of them might want to do these things in Grenada.
Labour Minister Honourable Peter David is appealing to Grenadians to fully utilize this opportunity.
Too many times our young people, and we teach our kids to become employees. By learning this technology, they can become employers. And I hope that they will establish themselves as young businessmen and businesswomen.
That story just ended the national report for today, Tuesday, April 23rd. Let's recap the top story. Ministry of Education establishes program of intervention to address violence in schools. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I'm Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Alrighty, there's your diet, the national report. That's yesterday's report. And yeah, you guys have been kind of busy out there on Facebook. Let's see here. TF says, there we go again, another special support committee. TF, long time ago, I learned that if you don't want to get something done, form a committee. Carry that with you. John says, GIS, why do they say what is about to be said? Duh. Kipling Francis says, yet another committee. Job for the boys. And John says, yeah, and paid for it too, I bet. I wonder what the tributes would be like when our dear KCM passes away. So says T.F. Richards. Keep wondering, T.F. Hope you live long enough to see that. And he also goes on to say, kudos on the powers that may be with the selection of such a project or forum for the young seafarers. Good idea, good idea. By the way, I guess you guys heard about the boating accident on the weekend. Two persons actually died in the water this past weekend. Somebody died from drowning in St. David, I think it was. And then you had this other incident where one boat ran into another, body was found. Anyhow, let's see here. TF says, I hate when people in authority do this. If you get funding for a project, stop making it look as though you're doing a favor and you had to take and scrape. Don't indirectly threaten persons. Those of you who watch the report, nobody's talking about. John says, coding scheme? Yeah, talking about the computers. John, a lot of people have asked that question. You're not alone. John says here, a coding scheme? I wonder how many of these computers have backdoor software back to the PRC. Good question, John. I've heard that being asked before. And Margaret seems to agree. She says, sure right about that. Anyhow, time for us to move on. I'm anxious to get to my Pity Martinique friend, my Pity Martinique Floridian friend here, Sherron. So just hang on a wee bit, and we're going to get to that right after this.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company. Tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenadans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Speyside.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Well, there she is, folks. Our good friend from Petit Martinique via St. Paul's, via Orlando. Sherron, good morning, girl. How you doing?
Good morning. It's good to be back.
Good to have you back here.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting to hear the Yankee accent.
No. Listen, I spent 15 years in England and I never adapted a British accent.
No?
Nope. Apparently, if I had one too many, it comes out.
I would love to hear your British accent.
But other than that, hey, I'm from Petit Martinique. I guess some people say we don't speak as the normal Petit Martinique people. That's because my uncle, as the headmaster, had us speak in proper English. We do not say persons for people.
You know, I don't know. It's like a little virus that goes around.
Yes.
Sometimes the Tri-Island State is another one that drives me
Oh,
crazy.
that
I'm
is-
sick and tired of these releases.
You know?
Tri-Island State.
And this thing about Petit Martinicans and Carrickouans, so ridiculous. We're all Grenadians.
Exactly.
So,
how was your Easter, girl?
very quiet. Easter Sunday would have been my father's 98th birthday. So it was a very quiet, solemn time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back into Grenada on Friday night.
Good Friday.
So Good Friday. So everything was very... Saturday I had to try and catch up on sleep, and it was very tired emotionally and physically.
You know, this morning, well, since yesterday morning, I just felt on top of the world, feel totally renewed, because my weekend, very quiet. One, slept a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And two, prayed a lot.
Very good.
And, I mean, what more could you ask for? I mean, I didn't have to go out and drink and party up a storm with the guys and everything. No. And that's the reason why yesterday morning, I just felt on top of the world. Actually, somebody commented about that on the program yesterday. Let me ask you this, young lady. Did you hear the program with Claudette Joseph on Sunday?
No, I didn't. I was sleeping at that time. By the
Okay.
time I got up, it was almost 1 o'clock.
Oh.
So I quickly did something in the kitchen for the household. Because apparently since I left, everybody been just doing their own thing. Nobody cooked for everybody else.
Mhm.
So I did that and went back to bed.
Yeah.
So-
we had similar weekends, I guess. So
Yes.
what's up your sleeve this morning?
Well, while I was out, I heard about the incident of the 5-year-old child. And somebody asked, I think it was yesterday on your program, do you think that social development is serious with all the talk? And I guess I'm just so fed up with their attitude and they talk and no action. Now let me give you a little background. I gave birth to 6 children, 5 sons and 1 daughter. But I've raised about 10. Because for some reason my children think that anytime one of their friends not doing so well, we need to bring them home to mommy. And they've
Talk to mom.
You know, and they've stayed from 6 months to 10 years. And one day my daughter went to St. Joseph Convent, and every now and then she would come home and talk about a special girl who came to school with a sprained wrist or busted mouth or broken arm. And this day she called me and she said, "Mommy, I brought this child home." I said, "What do you mean you brought her home?" She said, "She's here to stay because I know you're not afraid of anybody." Apparently the father of this child beat her up and she had a sprained ankle, busted mouth, and everything, and somebody took her in, but that person was afraid of the father. So my brave daughter brought her home to mommy. The first thing I did, I took her to the police station to let the police know that she's with me. In case she's reported as missing, the police knew where she was. She was afraid at first, but she said knowing her father, he'll report that she's missing, and he was the person who beat her up. So this young lady was with me. I reported it to social development as well. One day apparently they went to the school to talk to the child, and the teachers refused to bring the child out to speak to them because she said the child is living in a home. The school knew where she was. Social development knew where she was, but they chose to go in the school. So I agree with the teacher of not letting them speak to her in the school. So they sent them to my home. I was on my way to St. David from work, working at the U.S. Embassy in Lansapine, when a social worker called and said, what time are you going to be home? So I told her, well, I was going to St. David. She said she wanted to go to my home then. So I said, okay, I will cancel my appointment and I'll head home. I'm still waiting. They never came. Of course, one of the reasons they took no action, the father worked with Child Welfare Association. He supposed to look after the welfare of people's children and was abusing his own. And the young lady stayed with me, did exams, that's CXC, got through, and has since left Grenada and living abroad. Still waiting on social development. So I have no faith in them whatsoever. I don't expect them to do anything because it's not the first time that this has happened. And every time is talk, 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 and no action. So yeah, I'm fed up.
Do you know, on a relative note here, I talked about this yesterday morning, I think. There's a young lady who contacted me on Messenger a couple of nights ago. This lady is concerned because she's got 2 children with disabilities, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she's concerned that not enough is being done to help people with disabilities in this country. And she reached out to me. I asked her to call me yesterday, and we had a long chat, and I found out a bit about her. This lady has an autistic son. She has a daughter who has a problem with developmental delay and speech impairment and stuff like that. And she said she spoke to one minister, I think it was Boson, who wanted her to put her son in a home. And supposedly they were going to make arrangements. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And this lady, you know, I mentioned on the program yesterday, when you take a look at this young lady, she's the sort of person that a lot of people would not give a second look to. But when you listen to her talk, not only is she articulate, but she seems to be shooting from the heart. She cares, okay? Not just because she has 2 children with disabilities, but in general. She's been doing a lot of research about the legislation that we have signed on to.
Exactly.
And are just ignoring, Sherron.
They signed on to it, but they didn't ratify it, so nothing can be done. Now, I had issue in Pitamartinic. Of course, you know Pitamartinic is a forgotten island, and there was a case there that the mother could not cope. She had other children, but she had this son that was physically and mentally handicapped, and she tried to get him into a home, and they keep telling her there's no space. You can't make space for one person from Pitamartinic. If you have 20 people from the island of Grenada, you can't make space for one child. And that mother has struggled for years. The kid is now a big man, but still with issues. And no help. All talk, no help. So I don't know what they do at work, you know. You have some people who are really, really good working within the ministries and so, but they're handicapped in the sense that they could only do so much, and red tapes. And if the ministers and the higher people in authority not opening the way and letting things happen, it can't happen.
You know, Sherron, a lot of people, I'm not defending government here, but a lot of people jump on the government. But the people who are working in government are us, we, the Grenadian people. So shouldn't we take a deeper look at where the origin of this issue really lies?
You know, George, I think a lot of people do more than we know. For example, there's this group of people who had gone on U.S. government-sponsored workshops and studies and so. And they formed an organization called GAEA, Grenada Association of Exchange Alumni. And they formed this group and they took on, there's a home in Richmond Hill. It was for girls. And they did things like they go there and clean up the place and repair doors and all kind of thing, make curtains, bed sheets. We took over the place. So they sort of sponsored the home. Made furniture for outside and everything. And as soon as it was finished, they moved the young ladies that were there, and they brought the boys from the place in Victoria, Father Maligan home. And everything that the group did was for girls. So you had pink stuff and pretty stuff, and without even saying to the group, you know, we're doing this. One day, we were just told, okay, no more. They spent over $20,000 on that place. So, people do things. People reach out and they try to help. We don't just depend on government to do stuff. And then you get a kick in the teeth. So, I don't know what to say.
You know, I agree that there are people out there. I call them unsung heroes. There are a lot of people out there doing things, okay? But it seems to me, Sherron, that there are a lot more who are just yada yada. Yesterday I said so on the program. This woman I just told you about, she has a Facebook page. And when people read that stuff, a lot of people were very sympathetic and, you know, giving her advice and all of that. But Sherron, when you read the string, see how few people said, well, you know, Sherron, maybe I could do this for you. You know, everybody's willing to tell you what to do and how you should do it.
Right.
But nobody is willing to lift a finger, Sherron.
I wouldn't agree when you say nobody's willing to lift a finger, because
that's probably extreme. Let me retract that. Okay. Yes, but very few people.
Right. And then there are times too when you try to help and people try to take advantage of you. You understand? And this is where I draw the line. I am willing to help. I do things for people. But if I tell you, George, I could give you Thursday morning, but I must be home by 1 o'clock, because since I retired, I decided that I'll dedicate afternoons to Sherron. Right? So between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, I do nothing for other people. I do anything for you after 4 and anything for you in the mornings. And if all of a sudden you want to encroach on my time, and I say no, and you think I'm mean and all this kind of thing, I just stop. Because you tend to give too much of yourself sometimes, and when you reach in there you find that you're dry and you're tired. You have to love you before you could love anybody else. And at the beginning of my retirement, everybody wanted a piece of me. Oh, you're doing nothing now, so come do this, come do that. And before you know it, you don't have any time for yourself. You hardly have time for your family. So you have to draw the line and say no. Learn the word no. But a lot of people out there doing good things for people.
You know, I sit here listening to you, and I recall at one time I was on 7 different boards here in Grenada, different organizations.
Wow.
Okay. And doing a lot of volunteer work, just purely volunteer work. Sherron, I learned that these people ask you to come on board to help. Once you come on board and they realize, hey, he does things, he gets things done, they leave you on your own. They gone. And you become like a slave. Well, I'll tell you, a few years ago, I got up one morning and I said, okay, that's it. I done. And I just resigned from everything.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you have to do sometimes. And then they say, oh, you mean, you talk about helping and you don't help. I don't go on top of the mountain and shout about what I have to do. I do my things quietly, but I do not let people take advantage of me. And people, that's what they do. You go and you look, and the same set of people doing everything. You go into the church, the same set of people on the same committees. Do you think that's what they want? At one stage in the church in St. Paul's, everything, it was Sherron and Vincent and Emmanuel, Althea, and then one day I say, wait a minute, we were having a meeting. And I said to the priest in charge, was Father Harris, I said, Father Harris, this church does not belong to the Roberts family. He said, I know. I said, look at who is in your meeting. It was Vincent, Althea, Emmanuel, Sherron. I said, I'm out of this. Because there are other people here who can work. It's not just the same, and it is the same set of people. Call this one to do that. And when you look, I was until I end up in a committee where they what's it, not Mr. Mitchell, there was another one, I can't remember his name, God rest his soul, who called me an honorary man because he put me in a committee with only men. It was a men's group, and they were having this concert, and he put me on the committee, and in the church he called me an honorary man. I said, but look at this.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to draw the line. And there are people doing good things. And I'm very sorry for that young lady, but right now my cup is full.
Yeah.
Else I would,
Yeah.
you know.
There are people doing stuff out there, and boy, you know, I really want to showcase and highlight the good that is being done out there. John says, as they say, talk is cheaper than action. Been there, done that, Sherron. So says John. Margaret Francis says, Sherron, you're so right about designating me time.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see here. Earl Joseph Maitland says, yes, many people are selfish. They're greedy and deceitful. We have to be careful. And Margaret goes on to say here, you should still carve out some time every day as well. Yeah?
Yeah. I still do a lot of work around the place, but and recently I haven't done much in Pittermartinic, but yes, that's that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, speaking about Pittermartinic, did we talk about the water quality in Pittermartinic? Did I talk with you about that?
No.
Somebody in Pittermartinic was up in arms this past week about the quality of water that is being distributed in Pittermartinic, and he was calling on Nawassa to do something about it. Because apparently they have a desalination plant.
Right, they have a desalination plant now, and some people have running water or they have water come into their house, but the majority of Pitomatnik people have their own cistern. It was a dry season, so maybe some people are out of water. And we used to buy water from St. Vincent, but they have a desalination plant now, so I don't know what the problem might be.
Apparently, yes, there is a desalination plant, but then the water needs to be treated, and it's not being properly treated. And this guy is concerned. I think the caption on his article was, "Are we drinking ourselves to death?" or something like that. And judging from his writing, I got the feeling that this is somebody. This is not just an airhead who's out there talking, off the top of his head. He seems to know what he's talking about. I could be wrong, but he seems to know what he's talking about. Let's see here. Anthony DeRiggs, just going back to what you were talking about. Anthony says, I find it more rewarding using my time to visit the sick than to be on some of those committees.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
Total agreement. Yeah. Because a lot of times somebody's sick and people tend to forget you after a while if you're sick for a long time. And it's so nice to have somebody visit you when you're sick. But then again, you need to ask, is that person accepting visitors? Because some people don't like you to come visit, especially if they're at home, So just ask, and you may find that that person would welcome a visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Thanks, Sherron. Welcome back, girl.
It's good to be back.
Welcome back. The vacation did you well, man. You're all smiles.
A vacation that was far from being a vacation.
Yeah.
And as I thought it was traumatic to lose my parents, but seeing your sibling die, it's really, really sad.
Yeah. Let's not go there. I kind of get emotional.
So,
thanks a lot, my friend. Big weekend planned? You have another holiday next week.
We do?
May Day?
Oh, yes. I forgot that.
Yeah. What? Hold on a second here. Let me check. What day?
May Day, that must be Tuesday.
May Day, let me see here.
No, is it Wednesday?
May Day is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Come on.
Okay.
2 short weeks, back to back.
Yes.
It's even better than Christmas.
It doesn't matter to me because from one day to another it just rolls into.
Nice to be retired, eh?
Yes.
When I grow up, I want to be like you, girl.
It is very nice. But you organize yourself and you keep busy.
Sherron, thanks a lot, my friend. Always nice to see you. And say hi to Winty for me.
Will do.
You're going with Winty to this World Cup thing?
Is the Pope Catholic? Of course I am.
Okay. I'm sure you heard me yesterday suggesting that maybe we should have some sort of link up while you guys are up there.
Well, I always move with my laptop, so. Okay. Yes.
We're going to try and set up something so we could talk to Sherron and Linky while they're up at the World Cup in England.
Yes. We're going to a Reiki Masters Conference from the 21st to the 28th. And then found out yesterday that we're going to Ireland for a couple of days. And
excuse me.
Yeah. I'll be in touch.
I'll go in Cargill.
That's okay.
I wish I could. Thanks a lot, Sherron.
Okay, dear.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. There she goes. Sherron. Ryan says, good morning. Is the PM desalination plant able to meet the needs of the population? Check out the article on Grenada Broadcast, Ryan. And he's sending condolences to you on the passing of family. What about the Masters on Carriacou? The Masters? So says John. Neither Sherron or I know what you're talking about. Anyhow, folks, we got to hightail it out of here. Let me take a little break.
Pump it up, pump it up. Pump it up, pump it up. Pump
Start the stride to a healthy lifestyle at the 2019 annual Pump It Up Family Fun Walk. There'll be more fun, more smiles, and more prizes for families and friends. Join us in Carriacou on April 7th at 4 p.m. as we walk from the Harveyvale playing field to the Hillsborough tennis courts, and in Grenada on April 28th at 4 p.m. from the Montrouge playing field to the National Cricket Stadium. Packages cost $20 per person for up to 2 individuals and $15 per person for groups of 3 or more. Come out in your numbers to help us raise funds towards re-establishing the Carlton Home. Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Time to pull the curtain down, folks. Parting word. Here's your inspirational for today. It comes to you from the book of Colossians. Colossians chapter 2, verses 16 to 19. Therefore, do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink, or with regard to a religious festival, a new moon celebration, or a Sabbath day. These are a shadow of the things that were to come. The reality, however, is found in Christ. Do not let anyone who delights in false humility and the worship of angels disqualify you. Such a person also goes into great detail about what they have seen. They're puffed up with idle notions by their unspiritual mind. They have lost connection with the head, from whom the whole body, supported and held together by its ligaments and sinews, grows as God causes it to grow. Check it out, Colossians 2, 16 to 19. Pilgrims, on that note, Georgie Porgy is going to hightail it out of here. Thank you so much. Don't know what Sherron and I are doing for lunch today. Maybe run downtown, pick up something. Anyhow, God bless you, my dear friends, and by His grace, let's sit here again tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.